Good Saturday morning, everyone. Welcome back to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. In today's video, we'll be talking about a warming trend as we go into next week, but winter is not over. We have an interesting weather pattern setting up by the middle to late portion of February, and we'll be going over the middle portion of February in today's weather forecast later on in today's video. So welcome back, everyone. Hope everybody's having a great start to their weekend out there. Let's look at our low temperatures starting off this morning. You can see the freezing line across the eastern U.S. is all the way up into even into southeastern Canada this morning. So when you see the cooler weather out west, across the Rockies, and into the north central plains, temperatures this morning starting off into the middle and upper 20s, and even some teens out here to the west. We're starting off into the 40s, 50s, and 60s down across the southeast this morning. As we go into the afternoon, we'll warm up out west. We'll see temperatures into the teens and 20s, warming up into the 30s and 40s this afternoon, and we'll be staying pretty mild for late January standards across the eastern 2/3 of the country. To the north, we'll be in the 30s. To the south, we'll be in the 40s, 50s, and some 60s out there. And yes, 70s down here into portions of central and southern Florida this afternoon. Now, we have done some snow melt on our snowpack out there. So going back to the middle of the week on Wednesday, January 24th, look at the deep snowpack across the Midwest, the Great Lakes region, and we have actually eaten up a lot of that snowpack because of these very mild temperatures in late January. This is where we stand this morning, and you can see the snowpack across the Midwest and into the Great Lakes, just a few more inches on the ground that we have to melt, and that will be about it. And looking here at our weather alerts, we have more dense fog advisories, the same areas that have seen the dense fog over the past several days. We have more dense fog advisories around the Midwestern regions and the southern lakes as we go into this morning. So looking at the visibility in miles this morning, very dense fog across the Midwest, the upper Midwest, and into the Great Lakes regions. If you are driving out the door this morning, just make sure to take it slow and leave plenty of room between you and the car in front of you with that fog out there. We should quickly burn this fog off as we go into the late morning, but especially into the afternoon hours across the Midwest, the upper Midwest, and the Great Lakes. There could still be some patchy areas of fog up here, but I think the thickest and the most dense fog will be wrapped up by this point. If you are new to the channel and like detailed weather breakdowns across North America and the tropics as tropical weather season is approaching, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. We will keep you covered here with accurate weather forecasts, and be sure to press the like button down below. It helps out more than you know. Let's look here at our new storm system moving across the eastern U.S. here today into your Sunday. You can see we have a 1004 millibar low pressure over middle Tennessee and southern Kentucky this afternoon, and that will be pushing eastward and then off the east coast here as we go into your Sunday afternoon time frame, deepening to a 997 millibar low at this point. So what this is bringing currently here, this is the current radar picture, very heavy rains down across the Dixie Alley region and the deep south this morning, the very area that have seen some very heavy rain, inches worth of rain over the past few days. So flooding concerns are there as we go through today across the deep south. But thankfully, this rain will be much more progressive. So see to the south and west into East Texas, Louisiana, and Mississippi, there's not much back building with this rainfall. So it's going to be progressive. It's going to be moving further off to the north and east. And you can see that today, that'll be moving up into the lower Ohio River Valley, the Tennessee River Valley, and much of Alabama, western portions of Georgia, and northwestern Florida there. Watching for a line of thunderstorms. Some stronger thunderstorms will be possible with some gusty winds and some hail with this as we go through today. As we go into tonight, we're going to start to see that storm system move up into the mid-Atlantic, the Ohio Valley. We see a little bit of a deformation snow band with wet snowflakes and some rain snow mix starting to set up shop across eastern Illinois, getting into Indiana there and Ohio, and then more rain across the mid-Atlantic there around West Virginia, Pennsylvania, and the Delmarva region as we go into tonight. And zooming it in here, you can see Indianapolis, Fort Wayne, Toledo, Detroit. Those could be the areas that could see those wet snowflakes mixing in with that rain as we go into tonight. And then going into your Sunday, more cold air coming out of southeastern Canada will actually start to mix in with the northern side of the system, and we'll start to see more of those wet snowflakes across portions of northern Ohio, northern and northwestern Pennsylvania through southern New York State, and then over here and toward the Boston region, Hartford, New York City, very close to that rain snow line as we go in through the day on Sunday. Then going into Sunday night, enough cold air moving in on the backside as we'll turn most of this over to some 10-to-1 ratio wet snow across portions there of Boston, Rhode Island, down into Hartford there, and then even into the New York City area and potentially into parts of Long Island as we go into Sunday night. Looking at the rainfall prospects, this system will be providing us with some decent rainfall as we go through the weekend. This takes you through that Monday, January 29th timeframe. Widespread 1 to 2, even 3 inches of additional rainfall. This is on top of all the rain we've seen down across the deep south and the southeast up to this point. This is a new storm system, so this will be cause for concern for more flash flooding. The flash flooding potential here today into your Sunday morning will be primarily across western Virginia, getting into the western Carolinas there, into eastern Tennessee, and northern parts of Georgia here as we go into that time frame, and we're going to keep an eye on that. But also on the snow side, the colder side of the system, a narrow swath of about 2 to 5 inches worth of snow across portions here of interior New England, mainly along and north and west of that I-95 corridor, Boston, over here towards portions of Albany, New York, and north mainly of the New York City area as we go into that Monday timeframe. If you are traveling out here, make sure to take it slow through the weekend, especially on Sunday and Sunday night, and even your Monday morning commute as we try to clean up that wet snow on the backside. We could be seeing more of that minor to moderate travel disruptions. So again, leave plenty of time for work or school as we go into Monday. Take it slow out on those roadways, and we will be a-okay from there. Now, as we go into next week, a very interesting storm track is starting to set up. Look at this jet extension across the eastern Pacific Ocean, and what this is going to do is actually be bringing very big moisture surges up across the western U.S. next week. And looking at this pattern, this is the upper level heights here, the 500 millibar height anomaly. You can see an omega blocking pattern where we actually have more of that ridging over the top here in southern Canada and the northern U.S. We have that storm system this weekend moving off to the east coast here, and a new storm system on the other side onto the west coast. This one will be much stronger going into next week, but looking at our temperature anomalies, very much well above average, especially in southern Canada here in the northern U.S., a good 20 to 30 degrees above the norm for late January and early February standards, and the only cooler weather around will be from Maine down through Florida, the East Coast, as that trough on the eastern side of this omega block actually starts to move off. We'll have below normal temperatures over here next week, but even so, look on Monday as we go into the 29th time frame to start the work week. Very warm. That 40-degree line goes all the way up into southern Canada. The 50-degree line even pushes up into the Central Plains and the Missouri Valley at this point. Then as we go into the middle of the week, the 50-degree line going even further to the north, we're melting that snowpack, so the ground will be readily warming a lot quicker without a lot of that snow on the ground. So temperatures in the upper Midwest even into the middle and upper 40s as we go into Wednesday. And then early February, we are starting to see more of the 40s, 50s, and yes, even 60s returning as we go into that Friday, February 2nd timeframe, especially across the middle of the country, and as we get rid of that snowpack. Now, looking at the precipitation anomalies next week, it's going to be drier here as we have that more of that influence with that high pressure system across the east. But look out west here, just into the plains, and especially the Intermountain West and the West Coast, California, Oregon, Washington State, even down into Nevada and the Four Corners region here. That is going to be a hard hit area with precipitation going in through next week. So looking on Monday, very dry to start the work week. Not much happening here. That system's moving off the East Coast, and we're waiting for that next system onto the West Coast to move in as we go into the middle of next week on Wednesday and to end the month of January. Here comes that surge of moisture across Washington State, Oregon, and Northern California, and this will be packing a punch with some very heavy rains and some heavier snow, especially up near the Vancouver region up here into Western Canada, up into British Columbia, some very heavy snows. Then as we go into Friday, cold air aloft moves down across the western U.S. on the 2nd of February, producing some very heavy mountain snows here. The Sierras get hard hit with the snowfall later next week, and we start to see rain overspreading the southern plains by this point. And looking at our precipitation, this is all liquid as we go into next week, and you can see very heavy rains from the plain states westward through the Rockies and the West Coast, and the hardest hit areas will be very near to the West Coast. So Western California, Northern California, Western Oregon, Western Washington State, and British Columbia, coastal British Columbia, seeing some very heavy rains on the order of about 2 to 4 inches as we go into next week. But even though some of this rain even further east, the Four Corners region, Nevada, Idaho, Wyoming, even western portions of Montana starts to see some precipitation through next week. Looking at the snowfall prospects next week, very dry out east and mostly into the middle of the country. But look out west. The Rockies and especially the Sierras here get hit hard as we go through next week. And zooming it in here, a couple of feet of snow can be expected right along the Sierras into California here as we go into next week. So something to keep an eye on there. Then as we go in towards that February 5th through the 12th time frame, that trough will be slow moving underneath of this ridge blocking up here into southeastern Canada. It's going to be going everywhere underneath of that further to the east. So it's going to be moving in across California, the Four Corners region, and into Texas at this point. And then as we go into the 12th through the 19th time frame, essentially mid-February, that will eventually translate eastward. And this is a great look of the upper level heights. If you love snow across the eastern U.S. and you miss the snow across the I-95 corridor, this is a pattern that we look for as we go in toward later February. But we're laying the groundwork right now. So we're warm initially here across the east and across portions of southeastern Canada, but here comes the colder weather that's going to drop out of Alaska, down through the western Canadian provinces, and eventually into the western third of the country from February 5th through the 12th time frame. And notice we start to see more snow during that period as well, across the Rockies in particular, maybe into parts of the north central plains. But then as we get a little bit colder and we start to see that trough moving eastward toward the southeast and the east coast, we're going to start to cool down those temperature anomalies, and most of the lower 48, maybe outside of the upper Midwest or Great Lakes regions, will be seeing well below normal temperatures between the 12th and the 19th time frame, and this should allow that snow line to drop further south again, and we see decent snow potential across the Ohio Valley, the Mid-Atlantic, and the Northeast. And this would include likely the I-95 corridor once we get into the middle of February and beyond time frame. So if you are a snow lover out there, winter is going to come back with a vengeance later in February, so we'll keep you updated on that. Make sure to subscribe to the channel down below for detailed weather breakdowns across North America. We will keep you covered right here with accurate weather forecasts on this channel. Make sure to press the like button down below on your way out. Share this video with friends, family, and on social media, and I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their weekend out there.